Have you ever been listening to your favorite podcast and thought, I've got something to say too? Maybe you have a passion you're dying to share, expertise people need, or stories that just have to be told. Or perhaps you've just heard that podcasting is booming and thought, how do I get in on that? If any of that sounds like you, then you are in exactly the right place. Welcome to the Podcasting Crash Course, your fast-track audio guide to taking that brilliant idea, rattling around in your head, and turning it into a real, live podcast that people can actually listen to. Now, let's be real. Starting a podcast can feel daunting, right? There's the tech stuff. Microphones, software, editing. Sounds complicated. Then there's figuring out what to even talk about, how to find listeners, and maybe even how to make it sustainable. It's enough to make anyone put that dream back on the shelf. But here's the secret. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Podcasting is one of the most accessible, intimate, and powerful ways to connect with an audience today. And with this course, we're going to break it all down, step by step, into manageable chunks. Think of me as your friendly guide, cutting through the noise and giving you exactly what you need to know, without the overwhelm. So what are we actually going to do in this course? With the next 10 lessons, we're going on a journey together. We'll start right at the beginning, helping you spark your idea and figure out your unique angle, your why, your audience, and how you'll stand out. Then, we'll get strategic, planning your show's format and content so you have a clear roadmap and don't run out of things to say after episode 3. Feeling nervous about gear? Don't be. We'll demystify microphones, software, and basic recording setups for any budget. Seriously, you don't need a Hollywood studio to sound good. Next up, we'll dive into recording like a pro, or at least how to get clean, engaging audio without those annoying pops, buzzes, or sounding like you're in a cave. And that audio? We'll learn how to edit and polish it, using straightforward workflows, adding intro/outro music, and making sure it sounds professional and ready for listeners. Of course, a great podcast needs a great identity. We'll cover naming your show, designing eye-catching cover art, and even crafting a killer trailer to hook people in. Then comes the magic part, getting your show out into the world. We'll tackle podcast hosting, understanding those mysterious RSS feeds, and submitting your show to all the big players like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Launching isn't just about hitting publish. We'll create a smart launch strategy to build buzz and momentum right from day one. And once you're launched, we don't stop there. We'll explore how to grow your audience, keep listeners engaged, and build a community around your show. Finally, we'll touch on the practical side, understanding your stats and exploring different ways to potentially monetize your podcast, whether through sponsors, listener support, or other creative avenues. Each lesson comes packed with key insights and a practical activity. So you're not just listening, you're doing. By the end of this crash course, you won't just understand podcasting. You'll have the knowledge, the plan, and the confidence to launch your own show. Podcasting continues to grow, offering an incredible platform to share your voice, build authority, connect with like-minded people, or even boost your business. There's never been a better time to jump in. So grab your headphones and get ready to take some notes. But don't just listen without trying out the things we're going to talk about. You can only become a better podcaster if you put what you learn to practice. And let's start this exciting journey together. Your future listeners are waiting. You've got that itch, don't you? That idea that just won't leave you alone. Maybe it came to you in the shower, maybe while you were stuck in traffic, or maybe it's been quietly growing in the back of your mind for months. Either way, here you are, ready to turn that spark into something real. Welcome to Lesson 1 of the Podcasting Crash Course, Spark and Strategy. Before we talk microphones or editing software, or where to stick your RSS feed, let's hit pause. Because this, right here, is where the real magic starts. Not in the tech, but in the thinking. If your podcast were a house, this is where we draw up the blueprint. It's not glamorous, but without it, the whole thing collapses. In this lesson, we're going to take that initial burst of inspiration and start shaping it into a solid, sustainable strategy. We'll start by asking the big question, why are you doing this? Not just to start a podcast, but what are you really hoping to do with it? Then we'll dig into your niche, because trying to speak to everyone is the fastest way to be heard by no one. Next, we'll get clear on who you're really talking to by building an audience persona. This step will change how you write, record, and promote your show. Then we'll take a quick but crucial look at the competition, not to compare, but to figure out where you can stand out in a crowded field. And finally, we'll set some smart goals to keep you focused and on track. Because passion is great, but a plan? That's what gets things done. By the end of this lesson, you won't just have an idea, you'll have direction. You'll be able to answer questions like, what is my podcast about? Who am I trying to help or entertain? What makes my show different? And where do I want this journey to take me in the next few months? So if you're ready to stop just thinking about your podcast and start building it, let's get into it.
Today, we're getting into something really fundamental. If you've ever thought about starting a podcast, sharing your voice, this one's for you. We're looking at how, a bit of planning up front can make things so much smoother later on.
Absolutely. It's like drawing up the blueprints before you start laying bricks.
Exactly. Saves a lot of headaches down the road.
It really does. So many potentially great shows just fizzle out because that foundation isn't there.
Right. So what we're doing today is laying out those key pieces, the things that help your podcast not just, get out there, but actually connect.
Makes sense. So what are the big areas we're hitting today?
Okay, 4 key things. First, nailing down the why your podcast's core purpose and how to get specific with your niche.
Okay, the heart of it.
Then figuring out who you're actually talking to. We'll get into audience personas.
Crucial.
After that, we'll take a look around, see what other podcasts are doing in your space, the competitive landscape.
Good context to have.
And finally, setting clear goals. Smart goals to keep things moving. Sound good.
Sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah.
Let's kick things off with that purpose, that why.
Yeah, the foundation.
It seems simple, right?
Yeah.
You're like talking about, vintage guitars, so you start a podcast. But digging deeper, there's usually an underlying reason. What's the real motivation? What impact do you actually want to have?
That's such a great question to ask yourself. What feeling do you want listeners to leave with? Do you want them to feel less alone, learn a skill, just laugh?
Yeah, exactly. Knowing that why is like your North Star, it guides everything.
And it helps when things get tough, right? Because creating stuff isn't always easy.
Oh, definitely not. Coming back to that core purpose, whether it's broad, like maybe fostering community, or super specific, like helping first-time home buyers navigate mortgages.
Right.
Having it clear in your head is what matters. It keeps you grounded.
Okay, so purpose is the why. What about the what?
Yeah.
The niche.
The niche. This goes hand in hand with purpose. It's your specific topic, your angle.
And this is where people can maybe go wrong, trying to appeal to everyone.
It's a really common instinct. But yeah, today's crowded podcast world, trying to be everything to everybody often means you're not really anything specific to anybody.
Makes sense. Like if I search business podcasts, I get millions.
Exactly. But if you search for, say, podcast about sustainable side hustles for stay-at-home parents,
Much clearer who that's for. You feel like they're talking directly to you.
that's the power of niching down. It might feel like you're shrinking your audience, but actually you're attracting the right audience, the ones who'll be really engaged.
So a smaller pond, but they're your fish.
Kinda, yeah. And they feel seen, they feel understood, it builds loyalty.
So how do you find that niche if you're starting from scratch? Any strategies?
Well, a good place to start is looking at what you love and what you know, your passions and your expertise. Where do they overlap?
Okay, what do I know a lot about that I also genuinely enjoy talking about for hours?
Precisely. Another angle is thinking about problems. What problems can you help solve? What challenges do people face that you have some insight into?
So providing value, basically.
Yeah. Or look for gaps. What's missing in the conversations already happening? Is there an underserved viewpoint or maybe a specific group within a larger audience that isn't being addressed?
Maybe all the tech podcasts focus on experts, but nobody's talking to total beginners.
Perfect example. And don't forget your unique perspective. What experiences or skills do you bring that nobody else does? Your personality, your story, that can be your niche differentiator too.
Could you, walk us through an example? Maybe take a broad topic and narrow it down.
Sure. Let's take cooking. Super broad, right?
Huge.
Okay, a bit narrower. Quick weeknight meals. Better.
Getting there.
Even narrower. Quick weeknight meals for busy professionals. getting specific about the audience.
Okay, I see the progression.
How about vegan weeknight meals under 30 minutes? Super specific.
Wow, yeah.
Or maybe a totally different angle. Exploring the history behind classic French pastries. Still cooking, but a very different niche.
And each one instantly tells you who it's for and what to expect, guided by that purpose we talked about.
Exactly. That specificity attracts the right people.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the why and the what's. Let's move on to the who.
The audience. Who are we actually making this for?
Right, and saying everyone interested in my niche is, oh, it's still too vague.
Yeah, it doesn't really help when you're trying to decide what joke to make or what example to use.
Precisely. That's where audience personas come in. You need to visualize your ideal listener.
You mentioned this earlier, like a semi-fictional character. Give them a name, a story.
Exactly. Sounds a bit weird maybe, but it's incredibly helpful. It makes them real in your mind.
Why is that so important, making them real?
Because it forces you to think about their world, not just yours.
Yeah.
What language do they use? What examples would resonate with them? What are their struggles, their hopes?
So instead of just shouting into the void,
You're having a conversation with someone specific. Even though, yes, you hope lots of people listen, crafting it for that one ideal persona makes it more focused, more relatable. Think about explaining something to a specific friend versus giving a generic announcement.
totally different feel. Okay, so what goes into building this persona? What details matter?
Well, give them a name. Helps make it stick, like Marketing Manager Michelle or Curious Chris.
Okay.
Then demographics, rough age, maybe location, education, job type, the basics.
Got it.
But then the important stuff related to your niche. What are their goals? What are they trying to achieve?
Right, and what are their challenges, their pain points? What's stopping them?
Yes. What problems related to your topic keep them up at night? How can your podcast help?
Okay, goals, challenges, what else?
Think about their listening habits. When do they listen? Commuting, gym, doing chores? That might influence, like, episode length.
Good point.
And where do they hang out online? With social media, forums, websites? That helps you understand where to find them and what kind of conversations they're already part of.
That's quite detailed. Can we use that vegan meals example again? Flesh out a persona.
Sure. Let's stick with vegan weeknight meals under 30 minutes. Our persona could be, let's call her Sustainable Sarah.
Okay, sustainable Sarah.
Maybe Sarah's, say, 32, works in nonprofit, lives in a city. She's passionate about health and sustainability, wants to eat well.
But she's busy. Time poor after work.
Exactly. Her goal is quick, tasty, healthy vegan meals. Her challenge, finding recipes that aren't super complicated or need weird ingredients she doesn't have. She gets tempted by takeout when she's tired.
I know that feeling.
Right. She probably listens to podcasts on her commute or maybe while cooking. She's likely on Instagram, Pinterest for recipes, maybe in some vegan Facebook groups.
Okay, wow. Suddenly, when you think about creating an episode, you can ask, would Sarah find this useful? Is this realistic for her Tuesday night?
Precisely. It guides your content choices, your tone, everything. You're making it for Sarah.
Even if your audience is a bit varied, starting with one core persona gives you that clarity.
Absolutely. It's a powerful tool for connection. Okay, purpose, niche, audience. What's next?
Looking around the neighborhood, the competitive landscape, what other podcasts are already out there?
Right. And seeing others in your space shouldn't be discouraging. It's actually really valuable info.
Like market research. If I was opening a coffee shop, I'd check out the other cafes nearby.
Exactly that analogy. You need to understand what's already being offered.
So how do we do this podcast market research? Where do we look?
Start searching. Use keywords for your topic in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the big directories. See what pops up.
Okay.
Then actually listen to a few of the top shows in your niche, especially the ones with lots of reviews.
What should I be listening for?
Pay attention to their format interviews. Solo, storytelling. What's their tone? Funny, serious, academic? Who are they clearly talking to?
And check the reviews, right? See what listeners love or hate.
Definitely. Reviews are gold mines. What do people praise? What do they complain about? What are they wishing the show did differently? That tells you about unmet needs.
So we're looking for gaps, things that aren't being covered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gaps in content, angles they aren't taking. Maybe they only cover advanced stuff, leaving beginners behind. Or maybe everyone's doing interviews, but nobody's doing, like, deep dive narratives.
Or maybe a specific perspective is missing.
Precisely. The goal isn't necessarily to find a topic nobody else is covering. That might mean nobody's interested.
Right. Rare to find a totally empty space.
Yeah. The goal is to figure out where you can offer something different or, frankly, better. your unique value proposition.
So differentiation could come from specificity, niching down even further.
Yep, or your personality and tone. Maybe everyone else is super serious and you bring humor.
Or the format, like we said.
Yeah.
Or just a unique perspective from your background.
Right. Focusing on a slightly different slice of the audience. Or even just being more consistent or having higher production quality than the others.
So use the competition as research to find your own unique space and stand out.
Exactly. Learn from them, see where you can add something fresh, and then confidently plant your flag.
Okay, makes sense. We know our why, what, who, and where we fit in. Now, how do we actually make progress? Keep momentum.
Goals. This is where setting clear, actionable goals comes in. And the SMART framework is really useful here.
SMART goals. Sounds a bit corporate, but you're saying it works for creatives too.
Oh, absolutely. It just brings structure to your ambitions, keeps you from drifting. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, let's break that down. Specific.
Means clear, not vague. Instead of get more listeners, it's launch the podcast on Spotify and Apple with the first 3 episodes. You know exactly what done looks like.
Got it. Measurable. How do we track it?
Needs a number. So not just grow downloads, but reach 100 downloads per episode within the first month. Something you can actually measure.
Achievable. Setting realistic targets.
Yeah. Realistic given your time, resources, skills. Aiming for Joe Rogan numbers in month 1. Probably not achievable. Aiming to publish 1 episode a week. Likely achievable. It should stretch you, but not break you.
Relevant. Making sure the goal actually matters for the podcast.
Exactly. Does this goal actually align with your main purpose? Is getting 10,000 Instagram followers really the most relevant goal right now? Or is it creating amazing content? Your goals should push the podcast forward.
And finally, time-bound. Putting a deadline on it.
Creates urgency. Stops the I'll do it someday thing. It's contact 5 potential guests by Friday. Much more likely to happen.
So SMART turns wishes into actual plans. Gives you focus, motivation, lets you see if you're on track.
Totally. It's about making progress tangible.
Can you give a couple more examples for a newbie podcaster?
Sure. A launch goal. Record, edit, and schedule the trailer. And first 2 episodes for release on Buzzsprout by June 1st.
Okay, very clear.
A consistency goal. Publish 1 new 30-minute episode every Monday morning for the next 3 months.
Doable.
An engagement goal. Ask for listener feedback in each episode and aim to get 5 listener emails or comments within the first 6 weeks.
Nice. Content goal.
Outline the topics and potential guests for the next 4 episodes by the end of this week.
These feel really concrete. So, advice for someone listening now, thinking about their goals.
Think small to start. What are like 1-3 key things you really want to achieve in the next, say, 1-3 months to get this thing going?
Focus on the near term.
Yeah. Then frame those using SMART. And crucially, write them down. Put them somewhere you'll see them. It makes a huge difference. What goals do you think might pop into someone's head right now?
And with this, we come to the end of our lesson, but remember that the only way you can get better at podcasting is to actually do it, so never stop learning and practicing.
And that wraps up Lesson 1. You've defined your why, clarified your niche, and started picturing your ideal listener. These are the roots your entire podcast will grow from. Don't worry if everything doesn't feel perfect yet. Clarity comes with action. In the next lesson, we'll turn strategy into structure as we plan your podcast's format and content roadmap. Let's keep going. I hope you enjoyed the first chapter of our podcasting crash course from English Plus Podcast. If you want to listen to the rest of the course, subscribe to English Plus Premium on Apple Podcasts or Patreon. You can find the links in the description of the episode. And if you're only interested in this audio course, you can buy it from our Patreon shop. Take your podcasting game to the next level with Podcasting Crash Course from English Plus Podcast, and never stop learning.